Hello, fifth graders. Today is October 1st, Thursday, October 1st. Today in class, I started out by having the kids take a look on their Google Classroom and see the assignment that I returned. If it says to redo it, please do that. Otherwise, I'm still learning, so the score might not be put in right, but I did leave you a comment to tell you what your score was, and it was worth 10 points. Then we moved on to kind of reviewing what's going on in our unit and just remembering that we are in module number 2, and I guess it doesn't do the same thing as you guys's. So lots of buttons to click to find stuff. So open this, it should take you to the pre-reading part. Okay, so the 3 things we did today were we practiced fluency, we got new vocab words that will help us when we're reading our story, and then we started in reading the first text in this unit is called Airborne, and that is where I will end today's video. So to start off with, this is what we read for fluency. I am just going to read through the whole thing. What we did was we took it paragraph by paragraph and we practiced reading, trying to sound like we were David and trying to sound like we were Hannah. And I reminded kids that we're trying to get to be better, fluent, out loud readers. And we talked a lot about trying to see 3 words at a time, 3 or 4 words, and as your mouth starts reading them out loud, let your eyes slide over to the next few words, and that will help with your fluency. So I'm going to just read the whole thing through. After I finish a paragraph or 2, then you can, after I finish a paragraph or 2, I would pause me and rewind me, and then we did a choral reading where you then read it out loud with me and try to read it at my pace. If I'm going too fast, you just mumble through while your eyes slide over the text. Here we go. A day in their dreams. David and Hannah sat waiting and daydreaming on a park bench near the avenue. "I'd like to take a cruise somewhere interesting like a tropical island," David said. "Maybe I'd bring back a palm tree as a souvenir. If you could go anywhere, where would you choose to go?" "I'd go exploring in the mountains," Hannah replied. "I'd map out a route that would include a walk through a spruce forest and then a mountaintop where I'd have a view from a height. I'd be able to see for miles." David looked dreamy and then started to laugh, saying, "You know how in cartoons the characters can walk right off a cliff and they don't start to fall unless they look down? Wouldn't it be cool if we could do that?" Hannah laughed too. "When I was a little kid, it used to confuse me how a character could fall hundreds of feet and just get a bruise." "I really want to go on an exciting adventure," David said. "Maybe we could travel up the Amazon River and lose our way in the rainforest, or discover a mysterious jewel. We might have to live off the land, gather strange fruits, and barbecue lizards to survive," Hannah added, feeling ready to leave right away. Just then their mother approached, waving and calling, "Hannah, it's time for your computer class. And David, you should be practicing your flute. Come on, there's no time to lose." And once again, you can rewind me, and I expect that you are practicing saying that out loud with me. You also need to know that you have a spelling test coming up tomorrow as an assignment. Please study. You can also waggle for 20 minutes for homework. And I'll zip through some vocab words before you start out on reading. The first word is panic. It is a feeling of strong fear that leaves someone unable to think clearly. Here you see some kids panicking about what they're watching on TV. The next word is reasonable. If something is reasonable, it is logical and easy to understand. Here is, it is reasonable for this father to think that his son knocked over the planter and spilled dirt on the ground. Next word is porthole. It's a small round window on a ship. I looked out the porthole in my room as the ship approached land. Favorable. Something that is favorable gives a benefit or contributes to success. It's something good. He always makes a favorable impression because he is so friendly. The next word is densely. If something is covered densely, the covering is so thick that it is difficult to see through. The ivy densely covered the house, making it hard to see the window. The next word is projected. Something that is projected may appear to be real, but is not. The snowboarder in the 3D movie was projected in the room. Delirious. When someone is delirious, he or she is confused due to fever or illness. Her fever was so high she was delirious, and it was difficult for her to think or sleep. Deficiencies. If something has deficiencies, it has weaknesses or flaws. Whole grain pasta is a nutritious food in many ways, but it has some vitamin and mineral deficiencies. And your last word is contents. The contents of a document are the topics or subjects it includes. The contents of the book or several chapters. Also, we talked about that you've read the table of contents in your content books like social studies and science. Please also remember that your cursive spelling is due tomorrow if you haven't turned that in. So all of those vocab words can be found down here if you need to review them. Basically, we just talked about the fact that you're going to read the story Airborne. You're only reading pages 90 to 100. 90 to 100. You don't have to read the whole thing, it's very long. 90 to 100. And it says a fantasy is an imaginative story featuring creatures and events that are not real. Some fantasies include elements of adventure with a quest to solve a mystery. Authors of fantasy tell the story through plot, the main events of the story. The plot includes a conflict or problem and the resolution, or how the problem is solved. Fantasy stories include sensory details and figurative language to develop the setting and the characters. The events and places in fantasies might defy time or logic. And then on the computer, you can type in an answer to the question. You're supposed to look at the title. It's called Airborne. You know that the genre is a fantasy, so you know it's not real, and it could never be real. As you read, pay attention to how characters react to one another and to real events. What do you think this text is about? So just by looking at this page, there we go. Get rid of this. Just by looking at the title page, you know the title is Airborne. You can see that they're hot air balloons. You can even page through the text a little bit and look at other pictures. And just based on those pictures, what do you think is going to happen in the story? So you would type in, I think the text is going to be about, and finish the sentence. You need a capital letter, you need punctuation at the end. You could write down several sentences if you like. And this text is a story. So here's the introduction that I will read out loud, and then here's like the regular text. But as you turn the page, you'll have some pieces of text that look like ripped paper. That is the journal that the main characters are reading. So it will have text from the story, and then it will have text from the journal. Just read it in the order you see it, and that should help you. So, starting off with the introduction. Matt Cruz is a cabin boy aboard the airship Aurora. The Aurora stays afloat using a gas called hydrium. One day, Matt spots a damaged sky balloon with an old man named Benjamin Malloy inside. Malloy has fallen ill and is rambling on about beautiful creatures he saw in the sky. With Malloy unable to communicate clearly, Matt and Malloy's granddaughter, Kate, have only his journal entries to guide them on their mission to figure out whether these flying creatures are real or imagined. So I can take just this little paragraph that I read and I can synthesize, or I can kind of take what I know about how books are set up or how stories are set up, and I can already tell the main characters are going to be Matt and Kate, and but we're also going to keep hearing about Benjamin because we're reading his journal, because I flipped through there and I saw the journal pages, and I can already tell what the problem is that they're trying to solve. They want to know if the flying creatures that he drew in his book are real or not. So that's going to be their mission. I take the information that I read in the text and mix it with things I already know to be true about fantasy stories, and I kind of come up with a good plan for how this is going to go. So your job is to read until you get to, they have page numbers? Yep. Read until you get to page 100. Did I say 100? I guess I did. 99 or 100 is fine. You can read this page if you want to. And then we will work on it some more tomorrow in class. That is your only assignment for today. Hasta la vista.